applied it to his customer skills and people skills that he has, where he interacts with customers every day. I mean, it's several customers every day. And Tim has done an excellent job of doing that. And he's not only just a customer advisor, he's also a customer advocate. He listens to the customer, he understands their concerns when we have projects going on or different things are going on with customers. He listens to their concerns, their issues, and comes back and sits down with us in the department, the engineers, the construction guys, and looks to see if there's a better way to do this to have a lesser impact on the customers. So to reward Tim on that, we give him some of the more difficult projects and more high-profile projects, such as the Line View Pike project 3 years ago, Line View Pump Station project, the utility relocation project in Westmoreland Estates, and recently wrapping up the new Tanoga property utility relocation there off Middlebrook Pike. So Tim does a great job. Obviously, he's selected for the Excellence Award. But Tim comes to work every day wanting to do the right thing and to do the right thing for the customer and for KUB. He's done an excellent job of blending the two together. So I'd like to congratulate Tim, being a great representative of KUB, but for his earning this award of excellence.
Good job,
We're taking pictures now. You didn't know.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it. You're fine.
Thank you.
Commissioners, as Century 2 continues to roll on, underground construction finds ourselves in many of our neighborhoods in Knoxville. Many of you all have experienced that, and some of you are about to experience that. So we look forward to those opportunities. But one particular project was in Beverly Acres, and Beverly Acres is a subdivision up in North Knoxville and Fountain City, and that project required us to, in underground construction, to replace about 10,000 feet of a 2-inch steel gas main, one of the programs that Mr. Walker just talked about. And, you know, every time we're in a subdivision like this, we are in people's personal areas. We're in their streets, we're in their driveways, we're in their yards, and at every turn we're having to deal with customers. And in the particular case of this subdivision, it's also on the Dogwood Trail. And so we know that's very important to that area and that group of customers. And so we took a pause during the project to allow that to occur. We kind of buttoned up, cleaned up the area, pulled out, and allowed that festival to occur, and then we come back into the area. But our crews always take great pride in trying to take care of our customers. And I tell you what's really nice is when customers tell you what a good job you're doing. And over the course of this particular project, customers began to write in and tell us indeed that they really appreciated our guys and folks that are out on site and what a good job they were doing, even to the point, I believe one customer wrote into a letter to the editor to the Knoxville News Sentinel and complimented us for our professionalism, for taking care of simple things just like picking up dirt clods in the street after we closed every day. Just that level of care and concern, talking to customers, being sure they understood what was going to happen, when it was going to happen. If they were having a family event, we tried to get out of the way and be sure we weren't blocking their driveway. Those simple things, that little extra effort in customer service went a long way in this neighborhood. And you can see a couple of the comments from our customers there. There were a lot of folks on that project over the course of about a year that it took us to complete, and you see those names over here with the crew members. We also had other supports in other areas of KUB. Our landscaping coordination team had to go back out on site after we were done and try to get things cleaned back up, along with some help from customer support and gas systems engineering. But here today are the two primary crew leaders from underground construction, Terry Martin and Robert Langston, and I'd like to ask them to come up and receive an Excellence Award in Customer Service for our Beverly Acres project.
Which one of you is going to hold?
I am.
Oh. Yeah, Terry.
Yes.
I get to introduce the Innovation Award. It's a new award for us to get out this year, and as I'll echo what Mr. Walker just talked about. A big part of Electric Century 2 is replacing poles. We're doing it thousands of poles a year, and what what you see that, it's pretty obvious. What you don't see a lot of times is the wire that has to be replaced on top of these poles. That's a pretty important part, or this is a good picture of Chapman Highway. We're going across highways, interstates, waterways, and we want to do that safely and efficiently. In the past, we would string rollers up on a pole, the mini poles, and kind of make them work. And our overhead construction folks are like, that works, but it's really not the safest thing, and really not the most efficient way to do it. So they said, we got some ideas, and we grabbed some engineers and talk about how we make a roller that was much safer for our folks to pull through. Here's a picture of the roller, and how it works is you build a bunch of poles, replace a whole lot of poles, and you add these rollers throughout a series of poles, multiple sets of these rollers. Once you get that set up, then you pull the wire from one end to the other, from one substation to the next substation. Continuous long pull, up to a mile, through all these rollers. It's really, keeps it up in the air, it keeps it moving pretty efficiently. Once that's done, you frame on the pole for a permanent installation, and you take the rollers down. So they brought the engineers out there, we got some folks involved, and we said, is there a way we can make something that works really well? And so we got some fabricators here in Knoxville, some guys that make parts and pieces for us, and they come up with this new roller. It's a picture of one. And so what we are now able to do is pull twice as much wire, almost basically twice as fast, over a series of long pulls. The idea was so successful that the manufacturer of this said, hey, this might work for other utilities. And so now we have seen these things now popping up across the country, be pulled across that. So it is nationwide being used. It is a neat idea. So when you drive by one of these jobs, look up those rollers. It's kind of a neat thing, and I really appreciate the guys coming up with this idea. As I said before, it was a combination of construction and engineering folks. Sorry about that. Did I do that? And we have representatives from each of those departments. I want to recognize Doug Collins from Overhead Construction and Mr. Rex Wilson from Electric Engineering Systems to accept this award on behalf of the folks.
In addition to replacing a lot of poles and wire, we also replace a lot of bulbs out in our system as well. It keeps our streets safe by being able to see those. So KUB manages lots of bulbs, not only at our facilities, but all across all of our street lights as well. If we were to roll up all these drums that we dispose of and recycle in a year, it'd probably fill this room. So Michael Rose and his environmental compliance team thought there's an opportunity for improvement here. We're spending about $16,000 a year in recycle costs. And it's taken up quite a bit of space in some prime real estate inside one of our storerooms. They went out to the market and said, what can we find out there that we can do differently? Can we do some of this work in-house and decrease that footprint and maybe even some shipments? And found a product called a bulb eater, which is a lamp crusher. Now it's kind of a funny name, but it's pretty positive impact. Not only are we increasing safety, but for not having to handle these bulbs so often and having potential breakage that's happening from the shipment back and forth between all these different facilities, but we're also saving about $15,000 a year, and Mike's team can essentially do the work themselves down in our storeroom. This is a self-contained unit here. Bulbs go in here, and then there's also a lamp for the longer type fluorescent lamps goes in. There's a filter on the system that's self-contained, and then all the bulb type products comes right in here. We're still recycling, so we're still sticking to our be environmentally responsible perspective for KUB, but we're handling it a lot less, we're reducing our footprint, really increasing safety, and then we're expecting to see a $15,000 savings every year from this year forward. So I'd like to recognize Mike Rose and his environmental team, which has Brian Email and David Rosecrans, for the second Innovation Award.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. On our wastewater system, as Mr. Walker has talked about, there are a lot of steps involved in getting wastewater from our homes, businesses, restaurants, etc., to our wastewater treatment plant. One of the places that the wastewater accumulates is at our lift stations. One thing our teams noticed was over time some of the solids, grease, etc., would accumulate, would have to be drained down, chemicals would have to be added to remove the odor, etc. Not only would the odor be a problem to nearby residents, businesses, etc., a lot of the chemical, or a decent percentage of the chemical, went unused. And so a couple of guys in our Station Management Services Pipes Division got together and figured out a way that they could better, I guess, handle both problems at once. And the solution was technically pretty simple, but it was brilliant. By adding in some air to create turbulence, not only do you allow the solids, the grease, etc., to accumulate, but also the chemical that had been added, it wouldn't sit dormant at the bottom and the corners, etc. It more evenly mixes with the entire flow. By doing that, we've reduced chemical usage, which improves our environmental footprint, as well as financially. By doing a test case at our Holston pump facility, seeing the success there, having it at our other facilities, the efforts have been realized to save approximately $200,000 per year for KUB, not to mention much happier residents around the area. So at this time, I'd like to recognize Craig Livesey, Chris Wyrick, if you could come up to accept the third Innovation Award.
Hello, my name is Mark, and I'm here to talk about the two individuals and recognize them for our Cost Savings Award. We have a software application that we use. It's called Hyperion. Hyperion is a business intelligence application that sits on top of our financial management system and our accounting and our rates and analytical services department. They use that Hyperion application to do the financial planning and budgeting, to run what-if scenarios. It also makes sure that we stay on point with our appropriations and our financial models. The Hyperion application, that business intelligence type application, they are hard to implement. The normal data sets in an application are, if you think of an Excel spreadsheet, there are columns and rows of data. The business intelligence applications are cubes of data. They're three-dimensional. It is hard to wrap your head around how to make that work and how to install it so that it benefits the business. So we hire consultants to come in and help us implement the application. We intended to use that consultant for a whole nother year to help us extend it out and build the application so it serves us even better than just that initial implementation. However, through the hard work and ownership and just tenacity of the two individuals we're recognizing today, we were able to let that consultant go early. And these two ladies did all the work. They saved us money, and we ended up with a much better product than we would have had if we just relied on the consultant to do the work. So I do want to introduce Pam Martin and Melissa Reynolds for the Cost Savings Award.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm really excited to talk about our second Cost Savings Award today, and it's just a great example of teamwork across multiple departments. As part of Century 2, we evaluated all of our major equipment within our wastewater treatment plants. We looked at reliability, the life cycle age of those pieces of equipment, and also the criticality of all of those processes. 440 NGD pumps at Kuwahee are the largest pumps we have in our system, and we realized that we need to do something to improve the reliability of those pumps. So we looked at replacement, and the pump itself was gonna cost $1 million to replace. But the team got together and we said, hey, we can refurbish these pumps. We've got local machine shops out in town. We have, you know, we can buy parts and pieces. And so we realized that for $150,000, we can actually refurbish these pumps instead of spending that $1 million to replace it. 4 pumps, $850,000 a piece in savings. Then came the next stop. We can only predict weather for about 7 to 10 days, so we had to pull the 40 MGD pumps, which are the largest pumps, and actually get those out in town, machine the motors, replaced impellers, and replaced the bearings. So Saturday morning, we replaced these pumps, and this team worked nonstop with our contractors out in town. Wednesday morning, we were putting these pumps back in service. This is a great job for these guys. The other part I like about this is the mere fact that last time those pumps were pulled was back in the 80s, and so we had a generation of employees that knew how to do it. Well, they trained our next generation of employees, so we can carry that knowledge through. So I'd like to recognize Craig Livesay, Tracy Hubbs, Rick Walker, and Marcus Atkins today.
Commissioners, as you know, we have employees out and about in the community day in and day out, working hard to provide good customer service to our customers. This year we had a couple of incidences that were unique. We had a couple of employees that were in the right place at the right time and did the right thing. And I wanted to talk about each of those individually. First of all, Jake himself, he's an operator at our plants. Jake's been here a little over 3 years. He happened to see something unique about a resident. He was suspicious about what was going on in the residence. He took pictures with his phone. He contacted, and he also got the license plate number. Got over the officials, and later in that day, the officials were able to apprehend the thieves and ultimately return the stolen goods back to the residences. So it's a great tribute for Jake for doing the right thing and being at the right place at the right time. So with that, Jake, self, KUB Good Citizen, and we appreciate you and want you to come up and get your reward. Thank you.
Quicker.
Wait a minute, I think we're on this quickly.
Oh, sorry.
We broke the camera.
She's gonna really focus in.
We have another employee, which we're considering a KUB Good Citizen, Commissioners. Tommy Marks. He's been here a little over a year, actually. In his first year, basically, of being a KUB employee, he was on a lunch break, and he observed a gentleman basically go unconscious ultimately after having a seizure. He actually made the place safe, so while the individual was going through the seizure, he approached the individual after he went unconscious, checked his pulse, found no pulse. Waited a second or two, checked again, no pulse. He contacted 911, and then he started doing CPR on the individual. A life was saved, thanks to Tommy Marks. Tommy, KUB Good Citizen.
I did want to touch base because obviously any of the groups could have actually received the chairman award. Last year, they give you a list. I had 2 years this year, and last year I had the honor to choose the chairman award. and I never can make a decision. Last year, they stalked me for about 3 weeks. I kept on calling and calling. This year, they got a little smarter. We had a committee meeting, and Elba and Susan got me in the room, and basically, I was gonna make a decision. So that's how hard the decision is. But I chose Jake and Thomas for one reason is I often wonder if in that position, if I would have the courage to do what they did. And I don't know if you wonder what you would do or what would you do if you were in that position. I often wonder if really when we're faced with things like that, if we would take the time to go outside of what we're used to doing and what we're supposed to do what makes us a good citizen. And I think that that echoes what type of employees that we have here at KUB. So anyone could have won it. That was personal to me because I really don't know if I had that courage. So you guys have really given me the courage to know to step up and do the right thing as the chairman of KUB. So I'm very proud of you all and congratulations.
I'm going to add my comments to those of Nikisha's. Everybody knows we had the highest customer survey results this year, and I want you to understand that's because of you. You all are the best employee group, I think, of anyone around because you're engaged and you're committed. It's not just compliance with you all. It's not just going through the motions to do your job. You care and you're committed and you care about doing it the best way you can. You represent all of KUB's employees. So don't get the big head too big because there's a whole lot more behind you. You wouldn't believe how many nominations we got, and you were the cream of the crop, and so we thank you for everything that you do, day in and day out. I also want to recognize these folks back here. You wouldn't be there if they didn't appreciate your work and take the time and effort to nominate you. And I hope you understand how much your work means to them, and I want them to know how much we appreciate their leadership of you and supporting you in this way by nominating you. So thank you very much.
We're going to go into official action, Resolution 1353, a resolution of KUB Board Concerning Eston Williams, who is concluding service as a commissioner. Details from the past 8 years are captured in Resolution 1353. I want to ask Mr. Coley to read the resolution honoring Eston and his contributions to this board.
Madam Chair, if I will read Resolution 1353, a resolution of the Knoxville Utilities Board concerning Eston Williams, who is concluding his service as commissioner. I want to block your view. Whereas Eston Williams became a member of this board in March 2008 and has now served faithfully for 8 years, and whereas during his tenure, Commissioner Williams has been an advocate for Project Help, an emergency assistance program for people who need temporary help with their utility bills, and whereas he has encouraged KUB to consider offering a gift card program to allow individuals to help family members, friends, and others in need to pay their utility bills. And whereas Commissioner Williams recognized the need to eliminate the root cause associated with ongoing emergency energy assistance and supported the implementation of Rounded Up, a pilot program which allows customers to round up their monthly utility bills to the next whole dollar to provide funding for low-income home weatherization. And whereas since his first year on the board, Commissioner Williams has been a strong proponent of conservation and environmental stewardship, and he supported KUB in the achievement of several